Hello. We have a great race lined up, or two races I should say, lined up for our grid today. We're headed to Pascani Motorpark, which is actually a fictional circuit. It's not a real life circuit, so a whole grid heading to this this great new motor park, new track for them all to learn. And it's definitely brought out some interesting standings in terms of practice times. Of course, the usual suspects all up there, but definitely maybe a little bit of a different order to what was expected based on the previous two races. For those of you interested in the current championship standings, we'll go through them now. We'll go through them again in a few moments. But we can see Yuki Suzuki very much still leading the way with his 2 wins, still standing strong, 20 points per win, and 2 pole positions across the 2 rounds. Of course, every driver has had their 2 drop rounds taken, so although 4 races have been completed, so 2 drop races, so although every driver has completed 4 races now, their top 2 are taken in the standings. Obviously that will then become more of a thing as we get late into the season. Rutherford there, second on 35 points. Again, a win and a third being her strongest positions. Kautayaha with 2 second places, holding strong on to third there, just 1 point behind Rutherford. Rutherford's teammate Kiepski there with 32. So definitely all to play for still for the lead. Yuki Suzuki definitely strong position with 3 wins and a 4th place. But speaking of strong position, although the drop round has dropped Questa, the drop 2 races have dropped Questa to 5th. Questa is the only driver other than Yuki Suzuki to have finished every race in the top 5 so far. So that's going to be really useful as you know, drop rounds start taking over sort of worse scoring positions. Hopefully Questa can look for another 2 top 5s today, continue that streak. Daigo Kawamoto missed last race on 28 points. Obviously both of his drop rounds sort of used effectively to cover for missing last round, so he's really got to sort of pull something out the rest of this season if he wants to have a chance at Yuki Suzuki, beating Yuki Suzuki for the title. Geroido Lanigan having a really good first time out last race, getting a 4th place finish. Frankfurter as well, getting 2 6th places back to back. Both drivers definitely looking forward to more battles this race, seeing if we can get a little bit further up the order. And to round out our top 10 of the championship, Stribog Pskaric on 19 points, unfortunately not able to score any better in the second round than the first. But still some solid points scored by Pskaric. And Randy Nutt, who is with his 2 pretty good finishes, nice and consistent finishes that he's managed so far this season, actually putting him up into 10th, meaning that Peter Isaacs has actually dropped to 11th in the championship, who was our previous 10th place driver. As I said, it's definitely all to play for in this championship. Only 2 rounds into the 6 rounds, 4 races down, another 8 to go effectively. So it's definitely far too early to be calling anything. You know, anything could happen. Even one DNF from one of the front runners could absolutely cost their hopes at a title. And of course, especially so for Kawamoto, who is the only driver of the top 10 to not have finished all 4 races so far. So from now on, if he has any DNFs or any sort of bad results, that's unfortunately, he can't, that's his sort of score due to how the drop rounds work. So yeah, he's definitely going to be looking to score well today. And I think that's definitely something he's looking to do. as we go on board with him now, we can see he's actually second on the timing tower pretty much. Admittedly, the lap times that we see on the left don't seem to quite line up. So please do ignore those for now. But if I get, let's see if I can get last lap up. Just give me one moment. Fortunately, I don't seem to be able to get last lap as a view here. But Kawamoto is, as much as the times maybe don't stack up quite correctly in order, this is the correct standings from practice so far. Questa has, in fact, if I go on to the more accurate source. So yes, Kawamoto is actually the fastest on track across the entirety of practice. And he's managed a 1:11.296 earlier this week. So really, really rapid lap times he's managed. We'll be yet to see if he can sustain them across the 17-lap race here at Pascani today. And then, of course, the second one straight after that. Isidor Kiepski also looking pretty strong. Of course, he's fourth in the championship, and among that sort of battle with his teammate Emma Rutherford, and of course the second of the Toyota drivers in the championship, third place overall, Kaito Yamaha. So that's going to be definitely a battle to watch between those three today. Speaking of Rutherford, not really having quite the same sort of strengths as we've maybe come to expect from the Vulcan racing driver. A little bit further behind on the grid this week. Seems like the car just isn't quite sort of complying how she likes it to. Now it is important to remember that we have success ballast in play now. Full success ballast in play. So the top 5 drivers of the championship, that being Yuki Suzuki, Emma Rutherford, Kaito Yamaha, Isidor Kiepski, and I believe Steffi Questa. Those top 5 drivers have extra ballast on top of drivers who won the last 3. My bad. Let me say that again. The top 3 drivers from the previous 2 races. So finish on the podium in the last race will net you either 3, 6 or 9 kilograms. That'll stack across both of those last 2 races. So if you get 2 wins, that's a nice 18 kilograms that you now have to play with. So yeah, definitely, and of course for the actual championship standings, first in the championship has netted Yuki Suzuki a nice 15 kilogram weight ballast added to his car. So yeah, absolutely not ideal, but at the same time, no better place to be in a championship standing than first. So we will see how much that affects him this race. So we're watching Steffi Questa now going through the sickle. Again, we'll talk a bit more about the corners as we get into qualifying. You can see that's one of the gold leaf drivers behind, I believe. Let's see if we can find who that is. I think it's Sweeney, Finian Sweeney. Okay, just on board with Sweeney a little bit. Not the most impressive time last time out, but I think the gold leaf drivers have, they've spent some time in the steward's office. Seems like they've taken a lot more, much more serious approach. They've really put some time in to try and do a little bit better this round, and it's definitely hopefully going to show. I think we can really expect a lot more from them. The practice times have shown a lot better. Just realised that the heads-up display on the stream hasn't been shown, so let me I do apologise for that. We'll just very quickly get that all sorted for the stream. There we go, that's much better. My apologies. There we go. So that's much more useful. Tiger Kawamoto just setting a quali lap time, I imagine, of a 1:11.199. That is blisteringly quick from the Japanese Lotus driver. Like I say, obviously last time out, he wasn't with us. So he's going to be looking to really kind of make up for not being here, and I think he's more than done that. You know, he's really put his cards on the table and gone, this is what I'm doing. If you want to keep up with me this race, you need to be faster than that. Now, our qualifying is, of course, a one-shot system. So any of these drivers making just a little mistake in their qualifying lap, that's going to potentially cost them a lot of positions. We have, I mean, as you can see, we have the top 10 all within 1 second in practice lap times. If you take Kawamoto out and just simply look at the second to 10th, I think it becomes half a second. And that's just while we've been watching, of course. Remember, these times that we see on the left are only the times we see as the spectator car has been on the surfer. Some of these drivers have been a little bit quicker previously. We can even see, again, all the way down to 15th, we still have drivers in the sort of mid-12 region. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting race, this race. Just sort of cycling through the cameras here, seeing if we can find a nice camera set to be on for the race. This looks like a nice one here. Got 20 drivers with us, I believe, this race. So quite a big grid. It might even be 21, I think. So a really strong showing for Pascani. Of course, we're going to see plenty of fans in the stands. A little bit of a wobble there from one of the Repsol Toyotas there that we saw ahead. I believe that was Yamaha. There we go. Yeah, we can just see Yamaha just having a bit of a wobble on his quali lap. Quali sim lap. So they go down through the S's. Oh dear, that's been a really quite nasty accident in practice for Yamaha. I'm not sure what happened there. Really quite nasty. Let's have a little look with Stribog Prashkaric, who we have our onboard hot lap from this week. He's sitting quite nicely in the sort of high 11s in lap time. Don't know if we'll necessarily expect a sort of a podium from Pascaric this week, but I think we can definitely expect yet more top 10s from the Benetton driver. That beautiful yellow and green livery as we come through. Down the S, we've got a great view of it. Into the final embankment. Now, it's not as clear on the broadcast, but that final embankment, if you're wondering why they're taking such a strange line and not using the whole corner, it's actually, as the name suggests, it is an embankment. Let's see if we can find an onboard with the driver as we go through it. There we go. Let's go on board with Daigo. Appears to be following one of the Gold Leaf drivers ahead. I think that's Qingning ahead. Sorry, Qingning ahead. Or Ning Qing. One day I'll remember which way around the names are meant to be. But it would be wrong for me as a commentator to not make some mistakes with names. Oh, seems like he's had a horrific accident through the S's though. This is going to, unfortunately, not really give us a good showcase of the final corner. He seems to be having some minor issues there. Let's see if we can find a different driver. Here we go. Here's Noel Campbell for the Zach Speed. You can see he's coming down to the final corner. Shifts down. Keep it nice and tight because you can see how banked that is on the left. It's really quite tricky to keep that low, obviously, because it's a lot of strain on the car, on the chassis. The hot driver's going to get just that little snap just as they go through it. That might cost them a little bit of time. Now up to, I believe, 21 cars entering this race out of the 28 on the grid. So, again, Nice and strong turnout. We're expecting pure carnage really going into the first corner, if I'm being perfectly honest. Grinder as well again, that we do not now, we now do not have race restarts unless it is an extreme accident. So if these drivers make a bit of a mess going into turn 1, they've not got any sort of red flag to rely on to get back going again. If they make a mistake, they've got to live with it. We're in the pit lane now. We're just going to get ready for qualifying. Going to take a really quick couple of minutes just to quickly sort some things out and just quickly chat with the drivers. And in a few minutes, while they're in qualifying, we will talk about the hot lap. We'll talk about the circuit that we're here at today, Pascani. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. That's the driver's brief done. Just waiting now. We're now actually in qualifying. And we're going to just quickly hop over to the splash screen again. Nice little, some pictures from the last round. See Adrian Tischler there on that picture. Both the Basler Motorsports, the beautiful green cars there, and I believe the Vulcan of Isidor Kepsky there. Slideshow has stopped, which is weird. There we go, it's decided to come back, that's good. It's the other Superflow of Geroid O'Lanigan. And just in a moment, I will get up the hot lap and talk through the lap. So it's quite a quick lap at Pascani, 1 minute 12. Pretty much for most of the race it'll be. We might see some 111s. We're also very much expecting race 1. It might be a little bit of a train compared to previous races. There's maybe a little bit less in terms of chance to get through, but you know, we will see. I'm going to go now to the hot lap, kindly provided the onboard of Puskaric, the driver of the same Benetton, not quite the one that we just saw, the yellow and green car. We're going to jump across that now. Here we go, so we're on board. This is down drag straight. It's quite a long straight really, it is quite quick. We're coming up to Jaguars, named by the very wonderful sponsor we have on the right. As we're now going through the sickle, this is a really long left-hander, kind of shaped like a sickle, hence the drivers decided to name it this. Go all the way through here, then we've got this quite tricky barrow hairpin here. We can see actually Pascani has a mild lockup, but it does seem to help him a little bit there. Coming through the Spanish curve, affectionately referred to as the Spanish curve by our drivers. They're nice and flat. Flat through here, this is thicket climb here, this little quick S. We're now fully flat, hitting the top speed of the circuit pretty much as we come into forest here. Which is quite a tricky right-hander. Almost a chicane really, as we now enter the S's. Stribog opting to use as much of the curve as possible here. Down into embankment, which is that difficult corner we're on about before. It's quite banked, you can see that Pascani does a much better job of keeping the car planted there. And that is a lap of Pascani, so really quite quick. Really. As I say, very, very fast lap. We're just waiting for the times to come in now. You can see most of the grid has now actually done their lap. We see, interestingly on pole, isn't Daigo Kawamoto. Now I don't know if he's just had a slightly off lap, or just took it a little bit easy compared to the rest of the grid. Your front row and taking the pole position point this round is Geroid O'Lanigan. So incredibly impressive lap from him at a 1:11.312, followed very closely by Steffi Cuesta, who takes up second on the grid, a 1:11.359. So not even, what, 4 hundredths? 47 thousandths, I believe, in that pole position. Then just not even just over a tenth behind O'Lanigan. We now have Daigo Kawamoto starting alongside Isidore Kiepski. We can expect Kiepski to be quite aggressive on this start. He's generally made quite a lot of moves forward. He's definitely one of the more elbows out drivers, but in a very fair way. He's always sort of racing to the limit of the rules as he finds them, and that is what we like to see. Yuki Suzuki taking 5th, unfortunately just 11 thousandths between 4th and 5th, so just missing out on that second row start. Yamaha is behind him, so he'll be starting alongside his teammate, both the Repsol Toyotas on that third row. Randy Nutt just a little bit behind his teammate in third in 7th. Randy Nutt's in 7th. The slightly slower time, 1:11.9, still very, very fast. And he'll be starting alongside Stribog Pascani, who qualified 8th, with a 1:11.94. And then completing the 5th row will be Gordon Moulton and Emma Rutherford. Gonna jump back, ready for race start. Which will be any moment now. We will see the cars jump over onto the grid. There we go. Right, we're going to just make sure that we're not on the grid this time. So here we are. That's our beautiful grid. All really nice to see. You can literally see the heat sort of hazing off of the cars as they're all sat ready, engines nice and warm, ready to start this race. You can see it's going to be potentially quite a tight turn 1. We've got a huge run going into turn 1, and even more room on circuit. You could theoretically go 5 wide along here easily. Of course, we hope that people don't do this, because they still have to make turn 1. which is too wide. 5 lights are turning on as we speak. Here we go, we can see them there. 5 red lights. And away we go. We've gone green. Good little start there from Geroid Lanigan. So it's quite a slow sort of camera angle there, but we can see it much better here. You can see cars all spreading out. Geroid getting a really nice start. We'll jump a little bit further back, get a little bit of a better view of the grid. There's been a little bit of contact there between Kiepski and Suzuki, but it looks like most cars have made it through. No, I speak incorrectly. We've had a few little bits of contact. We've got to send down the inside from Suzuki, who I think... sorry, my bad. Yamaha, there's been contact in the hairpin. That is unfortunate. It's been an absolute massacre. I think Stribog's on his roof, unfortunately. That's going to be him out of the race already. Got more contact going on, yet more contact. It's really been an absolute scrap between those cars, unfortunately. See, yet more sort of absolute madness going on, really. This is all allowed Geroid to get a nice sort of move forwards. As we see all the cars coming through. The S's, all the survivors of this early sort of battle. Let's see, we've got the two Ackley cars on the grid this time, this race. First race for Jan Spiker. First race he's managed to make, so great to see him on the grid. Following behind his teammate, nice and comfortably it looks like. And we can see as well, we've got 2 wide going here down the main straights of 10th. Cavallio and Tischler, but it looks like Cavallio has backed out. Grid definitely spread out after this early sort of contact. Looks like we've had a lot of winners and a lot of losers, in terms of start position at least. You can see Cavallio's really made a huge move up. He started 25th, was he just behind, if I can catch that. Looks like there's been contact between the 2 Ackley teammates. Oh, and that's really unfortunate. Just, I think, loss of control from Moulton, hitting his own teammate off there. That's unfortunately allowed a lot of people to get past. One included being Rutherford, who really had a poor qualifying, 19th. Maybe making a little bit of a mistake there in her qualifying run. It's really been quite mad up here. See 2 wide behind, Noel Campbell seeming like he's making a move through on Randy Nutt, I believe. Who's going really wide. We follow him down through the S's. It's a great little camera shot for this. Down through the S's, into the final corner. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave this battle as I see Kawamoto is looking to get past Questa for second. O'Lanigan having a nice, comfortable little gap to the cars ahead. It's definitely something that he'll be quite happy to have. So the cars behind, sorry. About 2 seconds as these two battle. That's the more that Questa and Kawamoto battle, you can see Yuki Suzuki is now very much here and looking to make this a 3-way battle for second. He's not quite got the same pace as the 2 ahead in terms of raw pace, but if he can just sort of pull them, reel them in, keep them battling, make his move, and then defend like goodness knows what, this could very quickly become a very interesting battle before the rest of the race. You can see Yamaha and Kiepski as well, just following behind, both scrabbling for that 5th position. But is this time where we see the Toyota and the Vulcan teams, the Repsol Toyota and the Vulcan teams, sort of decide, look, let's put our battles to one side. We can get further ahead if we work together and don't battle. We can maybe make this a battle for second. You see 2 wide through turn 1 from Questa and Kawamoto. Kawamoto taking the outside line, which is not going to be necessarily favourable. Mild little bit of contact with Questa there, I believe, but it looks like it's okay. Now, 2 wide through this corner is unfortunately going to push Questa wide. Looks like maybe a little bit of contact the other way around, but there's still 2 wide going up the hill now. Questa managing to keep the inside wheel there, just kind of telling Diago, look, this is I'm allowed here. And you can see Suzuki's looking to make it 3 wide, and he might actually gain 2 positions here if it works out. It's not quite. As we go now 2 wide, he's actually, Suzuki's ended up off the circuit. He's run out of room a little bit. That's really allowed the previous cars to catch right back up, and we got, what, 7 cars battling for second potentially. Phenomenal battle that we've got here, and I really, as much as there's battles across the grid, I just don't really want to take my eyes off of this, because it feels like any moment here we could see a huge move with huge implications to the championship. All these drivers having a battle in the championship. Questa moving down the inside, being held very tight to the apex by Kawamoto. Looks like Kawamoto's got a little bit of a better run this time, but Questa's got definitely the preferable line through this chicane. Looks like they're doing it the other way around this time. And Questa's going to actually clear Daigo. That's going to allow Suzuki potentially up the inside. The two Repsols, literally nose to tail, both working together, thinking, right, what can we do to make the most out of this? How can we make this a second and third? Gerardo Lanigan now 4 seconds ahead of the rest of the grid. You can see him just there going through the corner. He's probably quite happy seeing this in his wing mirrors. Kawamoto looking for a way through Forest, but not finding one. And unfortunately, there's been a little bit of contact with Suzuki, I think, there. It's going to be really, really close. Looks like he's being hassled from all sides, really, by the Repsols. A two-pronged attack, if you will, as they're now going to go 2 wide down this main straight. Teammates, sort of, almost, one of them might end up having to opt to sort of like a rear gunner strategy. Kiepski kind of just not really going for anything just yet, just kind of waiting to see what his options are. Looks like Suzuki's going to lose out to Yamaha here. Or maybe not, they're still 2 wide, and the more that these two Repsols opt for 2 wide battling, it's great racing, but it's going to cost them time. It's going to cost them so much time. As we see now, Questa's pulling away a little bit, Kawamoto in tail, very much so, and we see even Isidore now 2 wide with Yamaha. As we come through up into the corner now, that Toyota engine, we're 3 wide with Frankfurter now, looking to put his hat into the ring. That little bit of contact allowing Frankfurter the double pass through the inside. Beautiful move from Frankfurter, perfect timing. Just some brilliant racing. Up 17 positions apparently from his start. A phenomenal run so far from Furter. Gonna see if we can quickly find a little bit of gap in all of this to see if we can see what's going on a little bit further back, but I don't think we're going to have time because Daigo's already hassling Questa again as we enter lap 7 of 17. This is going to look like potentially a full-time job for Questa to keep Kawamoto behind. He's not going to be happy about his qualifying position. He's definitely not going to be happy that first place looks out of sight already for this first race. It looks like first is pretty confidently locked up by Geroid right now. All he has to do, although Daigo's lapping a 1:11.5 pretty much, although he's got 3/10 over Lanigan, he'd have to lap 3/10 over Lanigan far more times than we have laps in the race if he wanted to make this a potential win. And he has to get past Questa, who's making it very difficult. Speaking of making it very difficult, we've got yet more battling between Kiepski and Yamaha. Looks like Yamaha got back through as we follow through the S's. Down into embankment down here is Kiepski. He's just going to tuck in here. Looks like he's maybe going to set up for turn 1. He's got much nicer line through there. Car looks very planted. Beautifully planted. We're going to jump a little bit further back actually now, as we're going to have one of the interesting little battles here. Isaacs as well, allegedly. Apparently he's had a not great start, but managed to make up a lot of positions here. In 9th. A nice scoring for the Sabre. You can see he's following Sweeney through. He's almost sort of pushing him through the corners. That super light Subaru powered Sabre, which is very fun to say. It's really just giving him the advantage through all of these technical sections. This is definitely a circuit where these lighter cars are a lot stronger than they maybe were at the first 2 rounds. Definitely looking a lot better. It looks like we've had a car off. Jan Speicher just seems to have gone off by himself, unfortunately. Go jump back forwards again. Don't want to miss too much. As we continue watching this battle with Isaacs, Sweeney ahead. Let's have a look. Let's get that gap up for us at the bottom of the screen. Definitely a close one. Have a look at the last laps. You can see Sweeney is actually just a little bit quicker on average. We'll see as we cross the line, we'll see if that updates. We can see this time, yes, Sweeney's pulled 2/10 last lap on average. But that's going to ebb and flow as they get closer and further away, and as Isaacs kind of has to yield time. I'm going to jump back forwards. It looks like we're too wide. Looks like Daigo, a little bit of contact there. Daigo maybe getting a little bit too close to Questa there. That's unfortunately going to mean that whatever happened there, that's going to put Questa back into second. Daigo back down to third. Geroid continues to go for something. We get the onboard of Kawamoto, and we see he's looking for that too wide. He's not going to really get what he wants, but he's just going to keep his nose in just enough to keep that too wide. Let's go now yield backwards. See Suzuki right behind Kawamoto now. But he's also having to fend off Frankfurter, who's now looking, he's in 5th. He's looking to make this maybe a 2-3 for the Basler Motorsports, the green BMWs. A beautiful EVR logo on the side as well. As you see, going down the main straight, we've even got further behind. We've got the 2-wide battle between Kiepski and Yamaha. That looks like that's going to continue a lot more of this race. As I say, unfortunately, as much as I would love to look at what's happening in the rest of the grid, this is just a phenomenal battle for the front. We've got Frankfurter looking down the inside, but being absolutely held to all sort of almost pushed off the circuit in terms of, no, this is my corner, you are not going down the inside, by by Suzuki there. He's really looking here to make another 4th place. He'd like to finish in the top 5 yet again if he can, and if he can stay as high up as possible, that's going to be yet more great championship points. Looks like, actually, speaking of, looks like Frankfurter's just gone a little bit wide there. It has allowed Suzuki a little bit of momentary respite. Not for long, as it seems like none of these drivers are going to get for too long. As we come onto the main straight again, this is starting lap 12. Bear in mind, this is 12 of 17. We've still got so long to go. Oh, sorry, my bad. No, we are on lap 11. My bad. We are on lap 11. Of course, Geroid, very much in his own element right now. He's just able to kind of sit down and just relax. Just don't make any mistakes. And this is going to be a nice and easy win, which is going to give him some huge championship points. 20 points he's going to get from that. Seems like, unfortunately, we've lost Yamaha. It looks like he's maybe had his car malfunction and he's pulled across. Maybe we've missed something into turn 1. Maybe it's been a mechanical failure. We'll maybe find out going into next week. But that's going to be a DNF for Yamaha, unfortunately. Just yet more poor luck that I don't think the driver really wanted this season. So go into the S's once more time. And again, this 5-car group is really difficult to sort of get a chance to pull away. I'm going to have to momentarily. We go too wide with Randy Nutt and Peter Isaacs. Looks like Isaacs has come out on top as they now come through the S's. Of course, Kawamoto kind of hoping that his teammate Nutt can finish in the top 10. If he can take 10th, that's reverse grid pole. That's pole position for the second race. Obviously no points for that, but having your teammate in first is going to really help you take control of the race, especially if you're starting 8th, as Kawamoto might potentially be. I'm going to jump back forward just quickly. Looks like Furter has now actually made his move on Suzuki. Suzuki's tyres probably just wearing down from the constant defences he's having to make. And that has allowed Kiepski to catch back forwards to the rest of the group. You can see it's absolutely not the only train on the grid. Suzuki looking down the inside, being held super tight by Furter. And almost, he actually is locked up and missed the corner. It's just phenomenal racing. But even then, Frankfurter's gone off. That's like Kiepski passed both of them, who I think was actually behind them before the corner. To put Frankfurter, he's sort of back down to 5th. Suzuki down to 6th, which is by far the lowest position he's been so far this season in a first race. Obviously, he's won both the previous rounds' first races. Let's jump over to this battle now. This is the battle for 10th, actually. This is Tischler in first out of these 4 cars. He's in 10th position. We've got Randy Nutt behind in that Lotus. We're focusing on Noel Campbell right now, seeing what he can do with that Honda-powered Zach Speed. See if he can make something up out of this. And Ching Ning just behind, seeing if he can mop up any places from this as well. It looks like he's going to go a little bit to the outside here. Is he going to maybe try and look down the inside on Campbell into the hairpin? We're going to see. He's got a little bit loose. I think he's just backed out of it a little bit, but Campbell's left in the space. There's been contact with Tischler. Oh, and that's going to be horrible for Tischler, and he's on his roof and out of the race. Oh, that is really unfortunate for Tischler. Very much a passenger in that accident. And that is him, unfortunately, out of this race. We'll catch up later and find out what's happened there. As the battle continues, we've got a car ahead. It looks like... who was that? I think that was Finian Sweeney who spun out. He was much higher up the grid. He's had a spin out. That's dropped him all the way to 12th. He was much higher ahead. That's allowed Ching Ning up into 9th overall. Not falling behind, but losing a bit of time from avoiding the accident, looks like. It's truly been an unfortunate race for some drivers here who've ended up on their roofs, and that is unfortunately a DNF for them. Looks like the race has mostly settled down across the grid, apart from the one race that we have seen all the way through. Let's see if we can get on board now with Kawamoto and just see if what it looks like to be stuck behind the Basler of Steffi Cuesta, which is a sight that Kawamoto has seen the entire race so far, really, it has to be said. He's been seeing the rear end of this BMW, and one could say his next race he's going to probably see even more of it. Or at the very least of Frank Furter, who will be potentially starting ahead of him in the reverse grid. So far, it looks like. So come across the start-finish line. And we can see he's just getting that little bit of overspeed from the slipstream, but it's not enough to do much. He can try and force something down the inside, but running over that curb's going to cost him a little bit of time. We see Noel Campbell seemingly yielding there on the left to the cars ahead. As we come down into the hairpin, Barrow hairpin. And you can hear Kawamoto really tentative on that throttle, so I don't know if maybe that's just how he's trying to keep care of his tyres. It is important to note that Kawamoto is actually on the medium tyre, as is Cuesta, whereas other drivers like Isidor Kiepski, we're going to go off-board now as we go too wide into the corner. Kawamoto's sliding a little bit. He's definitely feeling that tyre wear, it looks like. Definitely a nice little attempt from Daigo there, but not quite making it pulling it off, sorry. Cuesta going a little bit wide, which Daigo seems like he wasn't quite sure if he wanted to go for it or not. He opted not to. He's now going to sit behind. Now, important thing to remember, we've got 2 laps left, and as things stand, Cuesta will win the race if they continue this current cycle. So Daigo's going down the inside, which is he's locked up. That's allowed Cuesta straight back through, and a huge time gain of about a second. So that's Cuesta. If Cuesta can keep this going, that's now Cuesta fairly firmly in second place. Now Daigo's got to be looking further back, as is, I imagine, Kiepski's sort of looking both ways. He's only got 2 eyes, and he's got to kind of look every single direction at once, because he's now got to try and defend his 4th, but also that 3rd place might just be on the table. That being said, though, right now, he's definitely going to be watching Frankfurter to his right, as Frankfurter looks to go down the inside into Forest Chicane. They're going to make a little bit of contact. That's unfortunately going to push both of them off the circuit, and that's actually allowed Yuki Suzuki through into 4th. Which has been really unfortunate for those two to make that contact there. That's really cost them a little bit of time. And a little bit is absolutely not what you need right now. You can see this might actually be not a great circuit for finishes. We've got 3 cars retired, it looks like. Isaacs, Tischler and Campbell all having chosen to pull over and retire the car, or unfortunately had other car crashes choose for them to retire. Looks like in the top sort of circle, it looks like we're sort of seeing the end of the racing near the front. As all the gaps sort of stabilised, but here's onto the last lap. Nutt looking to make his move on Qingning for 9th place. Puts a nose down the inside and gets it nicely done. Very nice. I imagine that is Nutt. Oh, and he's nearly rolled his car. Nearly rolled his car. He's actually lost it over the curb. That's going to be horrendous. Yet more time lost. That's really unfortunate. You can see it looks like Rutherford seems to have maybe made a move forward on Cavalier. Not sure quite how that move happened. They were a lot closer than that before. So that has unfortunately cost them a little bit of time. But Rutherford looking for a nice little 7th. But it looks like as things calm down, Giroid O'Lanigan takes his first win of the season, followed by Questa, followed by Karamoto. Suzuki taking a nice unexpected 4th there, with Kiepsi close behind in tow in 5th. Furter does manage to hold on to 6th, but obviously he was potentially looking for 4th early, so I'm sure he'll be definitely a little bit looking at himself thinking, right, okay, could I have done something a little bit better there, or was it just good hard racing? I'm sure if there was anything that he felt the other driver could have done a bit better, I'm sure we will know about it in the steward's room afterwards. Rutherford taking home 7th, followed by Cavalier in 8th, Ning in 9th, and Moulton rounds out your top 10. We've got Sweeney in 11th, much stronger finish than Imola for the driver, the Irish driver. Nutt taking 12th. Colombo pulls home 13th. Pato Portas taking 14th. And Spiker in 15th. I'm hesitant to declare Pascani as 15th, as I think he was the car on his roof. Obviously, if he did continue after being on his roof, we will see whether or not that will be a DQ or not at post-race, but we will see. Definitely an unfortunate race for multiple drivers. As I said earlier, lots of winners and losers out of that sort of first couple of laps. Main winner, of course, being Geroid, who's now having to go around the spun-out Basler Motorsports, who's now reversing down the pits. I believe that is fan favourite. Fan favourite Frankfurter making that nice little bit of showmanship there as he reverses down the pit lane. Well, I'm sure the stewards may be not too happy about that. The race safety organiser of the race not too happy about reversing down the pit lane. I'm sure that all his fans will be very happy about that. A little bit of fun. So, Geroid takes his first win. That is definitely not something that was necessarily expected from the time of Towers. Geroid and Questa both had some very good... O'Lanigan and Questa both had some very nice times during the week. But with it being, I think, 10 cars within about a second, obviously it's very difficult to really sort of fundamentally say, oh, this is in the back. And especially with such starts as that, we can see a lot of drivers got involved in something. As I say, I'm sure we will see some more penalties and various things as we leave Pascani. Now, reverse grid is going to have Moulton starting first. Once again, I believe he started at Imola on first. I don't think he enjoyed the experience, but we will see. Ning will be second alongside him. Alan Carvalho third, Rutherford fourth, Berta fifth, Isidor Kiepski sixth. Let me just quickly make sure that we are not on the track. There we go. So here we go. Moulton, Ning, Carvalho, Rutherford, Berta, Kiepski, Suzuki, Kawamoto, and then Questa And Geroid, I believe, is your start order. Ready to see the grid for the last time tonight. I've just noticed a bit of text that is incredibly wrong. We're going to quickly fix that as the lights get ready to turn on for us. For the last time this evening at Pascani, hopefully we'll be visiting the circuit again. It's provided some great racing at the front at least. Great battle for the top 5. And Moulton leads us away into our second race. We're going to try and find... Here we go. We've got Moulton is 3 wide behind him. So we're going to see if anyone's going to go for a move on him. Looks like he's going to nice and comfortably take that by itself. We've got definitely a little bit of squabbling around behind the position. We've had a big accident behind. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to focus on that too much as we need to watch through the hairpin for the first time. We're going to see if any people make any bad bits of contact through here. Looks mostly okay. A lot safer than the previous race. Questa looking now down in 10th. Really trying to push forwards. A lot of ground to make up. The horrific accident behind. One of the cars completely out. I think it's Portas just completely taken out there. Fortunately, not able to focus on that. You see, Moulton has now had to yield to Frankfurter. He's really sort of being hassled by all of these cars behind him as he goes through the S's. It's almost like the Blues Brothers sort of chase at the end, really, for poor old Moulton. Just desperately trying to keep everyone behind him who's got a sort of swarm of angry bees of the front runners desperately chasing him down and wanting to get past. That being said though, Furt getting past this early is going to be very good for the driver, for the Basler Motorsports team, as that's potentially going to be... Oh, Moulton's made a mistake, unfortunately, he's locked up. That's going to let a lot of the grid through here. He sort of tries to rejoin sort of safely as he can. That's really bundled everyone up into the hairpin though. It looks like Rutherford has made a bit of contact and just hit the car wide of Alan Carvalho. We'll see whether or not the stewards lift after the race, deem that there's anything should be done about that. Really sort of trying to make his way forward. Speaking of making his way forward, Suzuki also, he's gone the inside of Ning. Ning's gone extremely wide out there, using all of the sort of tarmac part of the circuit available to him. Looks like Suzuki's going to make a nice move forwards. Rutherford try and make a nice quick move around the outside of Ning and just about making the pass. Very nice little pass. Next to try and get through will be Kawamoto. It looks like Ning's actually just going to fully drive straight into Rutherford there and then take out Questa. Oh, that's really unfortunate for the drivers there. Unfortunately, oh, it looks like maybe that wasn't Questa. Maybe I've misspoken. Or maybe Questa just managed to get through decently. That looks a lot worse maybe than it actually turned out being. Either way though, really unfortunate for the real loser of that, Emma Rutherford, who's just got completely taken out there by Ning. I'm sure there'll be yet more penalties for the Chinese driver. We see this too wide. We've got Carvalho looking on the inside of Sweeney but not making it work. That's going to result in both the drivers losing a lot of positions now. So they drop all the way down. Poor Isaacs now trying to sort of hold off Colombo, Nut behind. And speaking of, looks like Nut might have the overspeed from the slipstream. Is he going to try and... He's going to send it down the inside. A little bit of a late move. He's not quite going to make it work, but he's going to get past Colombo. Nice little move there from the American on the Italian driver of Colombo. It's come down the S's. It's a really huge sort of swarm of drivers in this battle, really. Some may be hoping to be a lot quicker through this than others. Some drivers probably terrified of the amount of drivers behind them right now. As we see Nut in the slipstream of Isaacs, he's going to sort of quite confidently go down the inside here. He's going to actually clear Isaacs, but Isaacs might be able to just carry a little bit extra corner speed and just see if he can make something happen through into the hairpin, because he's already looking around the outside almost as he tries to carry as much of that speed as possible through the corner. You can see There's been a little bit of an order change behind. Looks like Campbell got a little bit loose. That's allowed Sweeney on his inside. This is now going to be too wide between these two drivers. It looks like Nut has now nicely cleared Isaacs. It's not really going to be much of a battle left, but this is definitely going to be a little bit of a battle here between Sweeney and Campbell. So they go too wide into Forest here. Not quite. Looks like Sweeney's just broke a little bit earlier. Maybe he's going to look to make something out of it. Colombo behind, holding off Tischler, getting a little bit loose there. Let's go on with Tischler. See if we can catch him. Going maybe down the other side of Campbell. He's definitely put his nose there. He's not managed anything. Rutherford behind now, desperately sort of thinking, come on, I was potentially here for a top 10. I'm now not even in 12th. I really need to get past these lot. And she's definitely going to be quite annoyed of the situation. We're going to jump back forwards as we now see actually Geroyd and Questa having a battle of the ages for 5th, it looks like. Obviously Questa's probably going to be quite happy with her teammate in 1st by a nice and strong 3 seconds. Let's see if we can fix the interval. I'm not sure quite who Furter's 17 seconds are to. We'll find out at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, it looks like Lanigan and Questa going to be following each other tightly. Maybe they're going to work together to try and catch Kiepski. Who knows? Either way, though, great day out for both drivers so far. Although I'm sure both of them would like to make a little bit more progress before the end of the race. Speaking of progress, we're going to jump a little bit further back as we catch, looks like Colombo's, unfortunately, we just caught him mid-crash. He's managed to save it sort of through the wall, it looks like. And Carrot is saying 11.37. I think that might be as fast, if not faster, than his qualifying lap. So he's absolutely just tearing the circuit to pieces, desperately trying to make his way forward. This is going to be potentially 2nd place for him, making this potentially a 3rd and a 2nd place across this race. However, if we know anything from Yuki Suzuki from the previous 2 rounds, we know he's not going to let Kawamoto go if he has any sort of ability to have a say in it. As much as he's got much more weight on his car, Suzuki's got 20 odd kilos. Kawamoto has no extra weight, so very much Suzuki sort of the steamboat of the grid in comparison. He's doing impressively well to continue keeping his car so far forward in the grid given all that extra car weight. Is phenomenal, really. You can see grid has definitely sort of calmed down a little bit across. Interestingly enough, it seems like these little contacts have just pushed people apart enough that we're not necessarily going to have quite as close of a race. That being said, we are going to have a nice little battle here for 13th, it looks like, shaping up. We've got Colombo directly behind, I believe this is Cavallio, yeah, Alan Cavallio in the Leighton House, leading us down the straight. You can see also 2 wide, a little bit further back. Well, let me see if we can just catch that. I'm not sure if that's Spiker or Moulton. Looks like it's Moulton making his pass on Chingding. Unfortunately, just locking up there, though. Really unfortunate. To move back a little bit forward, it looks like Valio's gone inside to defend the corner, and as much as he's defended it, locking up is giving Colombo a little bit of a run here. We're going to stay on board with him. See whether anything happens here. Looks like he's just dropped a little bit of speed to Cavalier. But it seems like Colombo's speed is not necessarily on the straights, but more through the corners. It seems really nice and stable compared to Cavalier while we've been on board. That being said, definitely using as much of the racing surface as possible, even a little bit of the dirt on the side as well. But nice little battle we're seeing here. We're going to take a little bit of a move back forwards. We see Rutherford now looking to make a move on Tischler. Again, Rutherford's 2nd in the championship. This has really not been a great day out for the Vulcan Racing driver and team owner. She goes around the outside of Tischler there. Tischler seems to just get a little bit stuck on the curb. Not confident enough to accelerate. And Rutherford says, I will take that, thank you. Moves confidently up into 10th. Eyes forward now probably on Campbell. 3 seconds to find before the end of the race, if she can. for a 9th position, which again, definitely not what she'd like to finish with, but she will take that over a retirement. A little bit further forward, we've got this continuous battle between O'Lanigan and Questa. We'll get the little throttle trace up. You can see really careful sort of throttle use through that final corner, and I think you'll find that across the grid pretty much. Those drivers that can just be really careful with their throttle inputs through that little final, that embankment at the end of the circuit, those are the ones who seem to gain the best lap times, because they're not lighting the rear tyres on fire. And that's just really helping them keep the car in a nice state. We've crossed now into lap 9 of 17. Now over the halfway point of the race. You can see it's definitely looking at the front, like Furter has this fairly confidently controlled. That being said, if we have a look at the last lap, we can see Kawamoto actually took 4 tenths out of Furter last lap. That's a gap that's going to be closing as we get into the closing stages of the race, so it'll be interesting to see if he can continue that sort of, that eating into that gap. Let's maybe see if we can just keep that down at the bottom. There's a little reminder of that battle as we have a little look further back. Let's have a look at how it's going for Sweeney. Seems to be catching Colombo a little bit. Lap on lap. Furter's actually responded just as I talk about the battle between Furter and Daigo. Furter and Kawamoto, sorry. We see actually Furter responding with a new fastest lap, which is almost half a tenth faster. Now, it doesn't sound like much, but to put that down is really sort of a display of, I still have a lot more pace. You're going to have to try harder than that if you want this race win, Kawamoto. That's what Frankfurt is saying anyway. So we see, looks like Sweeney's just really in Colombo. He's just got that little bit more stability in his car, it looks like. Definitely finding a bit more use out of the Toyota engine. The Cadillac, while it is giving Colombo a great sort of feel of the car, you know, nice and light over the curbs. Unfortunately, that Cadillac really suffers when we get onto straight line speed. As we can see here, especially doubled by slipstream. It's really allowed Sweeney to sort of close that gap lap on lap. We'll see whether or not he can make anything out of it before the end of the race. Speaking of, looks like Colombo's got a little bit wide there. Sweeney's gone even wider, using as much of the circuit as possible. We're going to go on board with him now. We're going to see, is he going to manage a move? He's gone down the outside, which is an interesting choice there. But it seems like it's actually cleared Colombo, making a little bit of contact from Colombo. He's locked up. He's gone to the rear of the car. It looks like Sweeney's managed to keep the position, keep control of the car. Colombo still looking for a way forwards despite that little contact. It's not going to dissuade him from trying anything. He's on the grass a little bit even, going to the hairpin. Unfortunately, that is probably going to end that battle for at least the next few laps. So we will see. You see across the grid it has calmed down mostly. However, we can jump on with our battle between Qingning and Jan Spiker, who has been a sort of his first round, his debut in the series. Unfortunately not able to make the first 2 rounds of Snetterton and Imola. I've been told due to visa problems. But he's all good now, as he continues to hold off Qingning in 16th as best as he can. Going to get rid of the little time graphic. It seems like that gap's kind of fairly stable. If we have a look, it seems like Spiker's lapping a little bit slower than Ning on average. That being said, it's definitely a lot closer last lap. You'll see, looks like Spiker's going to make... Oh, he's just made the same problem his teammates had. He's tried to go a bit late on the brakes, gone a little bit too late. Unfortunately, that is going to lose him 2 positions, actually. Because it looks like Stribog Preskaric is once again what had the best of races. Now, what will interest me is if we have a look at the laps between Geroid and Questa, you see Geroid has actually been reeling in Questa basically every lap, it looks like. Sorry, no, my bad, I'm reading that wrong. Questa's actually been pulling away on average from Geroid every lap. So it looks like maybe Questa, if not sort of held up quite as much in race 1, maybe we could have seen Questa with the race win. That being said, there's still not much in it. Just sort of a 3/10 sort of discrepancy of Questa pulling out across the past 4 laps, which, you gotta remember, that's a quarter of the race. That's not much variance across 4 laps. Most of the grid has actually sort of calmed down at this point in the race. So, quickly, if we have a look at the fastest laps, you can see, look at all of those top 6, all within about 3/10 of each other, 4/10 of each other. A truly very, very tight and close grid. All in the 11s in the top 7. 8th downwards looking more in the 12s. But even still, lots and lots of them in the 12s. We've got 19 cars still going on the circuit, I believe. As we come into the closing stage of the race, unfortunately it has been a little bit more of a sort of by the numbers race for most drivers here. It's not been as much of a battle between anyone. Other than the ones that we tried to catch, there's not been any sort of huge train like race 1, which has been a little bit unfortunate. That being said, Questa seems to have just lost a little bit of time through that hairpin. I'm not sure quite what's happened. Lanigan's managed to pull it straight back onto the tail of Questa. It's going to make good use of that slipstream as we go through Thicket Climb. Into Forest now. Questa's going to just sort of maintain that gap, but once again, it looks like Lanigan's just making little sort of dents as we get into the closing stages of that race. It's taking a 10th out in that sector from Questa. We're going to see if Lanigan can get a really good line through here and not get too loose on throttle exit. On exit, he might be able to just take a little bit more time going down this straight. We'll see. It's 4/10 back. Unfortunately, though, it looks like maybe Questa's just running out a little bit less aero, a little bit lower sort of wing numbers. I wonder if that's how Questa's managing to keep Lanigan behind. Because Lanigan isn't really making much of a difference on the straights. It made a bit of a difference on going through Thicket Climb, the uphill S. But everywhere else it's fairly equal, which is really interesting. So I wonder if Lanigan's got a little bit more aerodynamics on, which is why he's able to gain a little bit through here, because his car's sort of being, really sort of pushed into the ground. He's really getting the most out through there. Yeah, we can see he's in again, once again, about 1/10 through there. And his line through Forest seems to genuinely get him about another 1/10. You can see he's now just 3/10 once again. Yet another lap of this. But then his final corner, we see that then Questa just sort of just gives up the time again. So gets the time again. That being said, Lanigan's taking a much nicer line this time. Both drivers looks like they're slowly reeling in Kiepski. Let's have a look now at the difference there. Yeah, we can see 2/10, 1.5. It's not going to be enough to win the race, but if Kiepski has a sudden moment, that could be it. Speaking of moments, we've got a battle of the ages between Strobog Puskaric and Gordon Moulton. Looks like a little bit of contact. I don't think that was really necessarily anyone's fault. A bit of racing incident there. From our view, at least. As we go through into the final corner, second to last lap for these two drivers as they come across the line. So they've got 2 laps left. Moulton probably hoping, can he make it a little bit further forward and finish in 16th overall? As he looks down the inside, but he's not going to be able to make anything happen particularly. Go move back here. It looks like we're just, unfortunately, just pulling away from this battle that's been stirring for ages. Just missed the battle sort of coming to its sort of fruition now. Questa, we're going to just fully focus on this battle now. Looks like Furter's kind of still managed to maintain that gap to Kawamoto. Nothing's really going to stop that now. But this battle for 5th, this is going to be it. Here we go. Questa kind of going a bit middling on the circuit. Geroid O'Lanigan looking down the outside, seeing if he can just keep a nose there, but he's not managed it. He's not managed it. He's lost it. He's going to manage to keep the car together, but that's unfortunate. He can actually end that battle. That's going to give Steffi Questa 5th place quite comfortably. And I think Kiepski ahead is relatively confident in his position. That being said, we still have a few more battles. So these two drivers here, Moulton and Pascani, on to their final lap now. Obviously the leader will be crossing the line any moment now. But we can see these two battling sort of the closing positions of the race. But we might see yet more, because it looks like that gap closed across the last lap. So we will see. The car off, actually. It's like Colombo had actually gone off. We don't know quite what happened there. That's very unfortunate for the Cadillac. I'll just jump forwards quickly. Furter takes home his first race win once again. 2 brand new race winners this race. Kawamoto second, his second podium of the evening. Suzuki third, good for him. And Kiepski fourth, Questa 5th. Now I'm going to have to jump away from the rundown of the grid as we just see any of these battles near the end of the race. We're just going to see if any of these change anything. It looks like, unfortunately, Carvalho not able to get back past Tischler, but Tischler taking 10th. Oh, there's a bit of... Oh, dear! Oh, dear. Horrendous accident for Adrian Tischler. Oh. Oh, my goodness. He's had a... That's going to be the medical crew's going to be immediately visiting Tischler. Oh, it looks horrendous on the camera. Way up in the air. Hopefully he's okay. That being said, it looks like cars have all sort of come across the line to meet the familiar checkered flag. Pretty much in the order that we saw a few laps ago. Unfortunately, none of the battles seemingly changing too much. So, race winner there, Frankfurter. Let's get a nice little view of his donuts there on the drag straight. A very well driven race, well controlled from the get-go. Made his move nice and early, and just kind of pulled that 4 seconds, 5 seconds gap. And even though he bled a little bit, I think it's 1 second to Kawamoto behind by the end of the race, just controlled it, kept it calm, and a really well driven race. And he got the fastest lap of the race, so it's by no means a case of getting lucky and then not having the pace to sort of keep it up. Fastest lap of the race, he's actually blown out one of his rear tyres from the donuts, which is quite great to see. But yes, thank you very much everyone who has been tuned in. We will be not here next week. We have a break week. However, the week after that, so in 2 weeks, so in real life times, the 15th of February, Sunday, at 8 PM GMT, or UTC, you can once again catch us back, and we'll be continuing with round 4 at Macau. Now, anyone that knows the circuit in Macau will be aware that there is some interesting corners there. Quite a tight little technical circuit once again, so we're expecting the lighter cars to have a nice little time there. Also renowned for some pile-ups, so fingers crossed we don't see any there. But we will see. We'll just quickly run through the race results from race 1 today. O'Lanigan takes home first, his first win of the season. Steffi Questa takes second. Yet another top 5 for the German Basler Motorsports driver. Daigo Kawamoto makes a strong return after missing the second round, taking third for Lotus. Yuki Suzuki for Toyota finishing 4th, for the Repsol Toyota, my bad. Isidor Kiepski, first of the 2 Vulcan racing cars, taking 5th. A little bit lower than maybe his last time out at Imola, but still by all means a good result for the driver. Frankfurter takes 6th, the other Basel Motorsports. Emma Rutherford takes 7th for the other Vulcan car. Alan Carvalho 8th for Leighton House, very nice result for them. Qingning takes 9th for Gold Leaf Racing. And Moulton takes 10th for Ackley Grand Prix. So again, another nice, I think that might be his highest finish so far. We jump to race 2. Frankfurter takes his first win as well. A whole lot of firsts this round. Frankfurter taking his win for Basler Motorsports, the team's first win as well. Followed by Daigo taking 2nd, once again for Lotus. Yuki Suzuki taking 3rd, yet another very strong finish for Repsol. Isidor Kiepski takes 4th, position higher than where he finished race 1, so very good for the Vulcan driver, nice and consistent. Steffi Cuesta again keeping top 5s going with 5th place for Basel Motorsports. Gorodo Lanigan having a slightly not quite as strong race, but as we saw, definitely a good little battle with Cuesta throughout. The 6th for Vega Autosport Superflow. Randy Nutt takes 7th for Lotus, is the second car there. Peter Isaacs takes 8th for Sabre Racing. Emma Rutherford 9th, again unfortunately very much a comeback race for Rutherford, the Vulcan. And your 10th position was the other Vega Superflow car, Adrian Tischler, taking 10th in the second race. I'm sure there's plenty of incidents that will be reviewed, so these are obviously just the standings as we have them for now. But I would like to thank anyone who was tuned in, anyone who will tune in next time, and we will see you again in 2 weeks at Macau.